The trident was chaos. Men were drowning in armor. Horses screamed in the river. Thousands were dying beneath torn banners and shattered steel. And through the slaughter, Robert Baratheon saw him, Rhaegar Targaryen, the man at the center of this war. But this war did not begin here. It started with one moment at Harrenhal. The spark came at Harrenhal. The whole realm gathered there. The great houses filled the stands. For a moment, Westeros looked whole. But beneath the music and banners, the realm was already uneasy. The Mad King was growing worse. Some believed Harrenhal was more than a tourney. That Rhaegar had gathered the great lords here in one place to discuss what to do about his father. Recognizing his father as danger to the realm, whether it was true or not, the Mad King heard the whispers, and he came to Harrenhal suspicious, watching everyone, even his own son. In the lists, knights from across the realm clashed, and in the end, Rhaegar Targaryen won. The prince had his victory. The crowd had its champion. By tradition, the winner named a queen of love and beauty. Most people expected Rhaegar to choose his wife, Elia Martell, but he did not. He rode past Elia and stopped in front of Lyanna Stark. He placed the crown of blue winter roses in her lap. The whole realm was shocked. Rhaegar was already married, and in front of everyone, it looked like he had chosen Lyanna instead. And Lyanna was not just any woman. She was the daughter of House Stark, and she was already promised to Robert Baratheon. And Robert was humiliated in front of every great lord in Westeros. No one died that day, but after Harrenhal, the realm was not the same. If you want to make AI videos just like this, then click the link in bio, where you can learn how to make these videos. Not long after Harrenhal, Lyanna Stark disappeared. Word spread that Rhaegar Targaryen had taken her. People reported 2 Kingsguard had ridden with Rhaegar, but no one knew where they had disappeared to. When Lyanna's brother Brandon Stark heard, he was already on the road to Riverrun for his own wedding. He was meant to marry Catelyn Tully, but he never made it. The moment word reached him, Brandon turned for King's Landing, and he did not ride alone. With him rode Ethan Glover, Jeffrey Mallister, Elbert Arryn, and Kyle Royce. Brandon and his companions rode straight to the Red Keep in fury. He did not come to plead. He did not come to beg. He shouted for Rhaegar Targaryen to come out and die. But Rhaegar was not there. The Mad King was. And to Aerys, this was not grief. It was treason. So Brandon Stark was seized, and the men who rode with him were taken too. While Brandon Stark and his companions waited in chains, Aerys summoned their fathers to answer for their sons' crimes. Rickard Stark came to King's Landing to answer for Brandon, and he did not come alone. 200 men came south with him. The other fathers came too, but when they arrived, none of them were allowed to leave. Aerys turned judgment into slaughter. Rickard's men were killed. Brandon's companions were murdered without trial. Their fathers died with them. Only Ethan Glover was spared, left alive in the black cells while everyone else around him died. Then Aerys saved his cruelest punishment for House Stark. Rickard Stark demanded trial by combat. Aerys granted it, then named Fire as his champion. Rickard was hung above a fire in his own armor and burned alive in front of the court. Brandon was forced to watch. A sword was placed just out of his reach, and as Brandon fought to get to it to try and save his father, the noose around his neck tightened. And just like that, the Mad King had murdered the head of House Stark and his heir. And this was no longer just a prince and a missing girl. Then came the Raven. After killing Rickard and Brandon Stark, the Mad King was not finished. In Aerys's mind, 2 more men were now threats. Eddard Stark, now Lord of Winterfell, and Robert Baratheon, the man promised to Lyanna. Both were in the Vale, Both were under the protection of Jon Arryn. So Aerys sent word to the Eyrie. He demanded their heads. That was the moment everything changed, because Jon Arryn was not being asked for loyalty. He was being ordered to murder the boys he had raised like sons. He could obey the king, or defy him. Jon Arryn chose defiance. He called his banners. Lords gathered their men. Knights armed themselves beneath the falcon of House Arryn. And from the mountains of the Vale, Jon Arryn's strength began to march. And with that, Robert's rebellion truly began. But not every house in the Vale followed Jon Arryn. Some stayed loyal to the crown, and the biggest problem was Gulltown, the Vale's great port. If Gulltown stayed in royal hands, the rebellion could be trapped before it ever spread. Robert would have no easy way to sail back to the Stormlands, and Jon Arryn would be rising in rebellion with a loyalist city still at his back. While Ned Stark struggled north to raise Winterfell, Jon Arryn and Robert had to secure the Vale. Gulltown held for the crown under Lord Mark Grafton. So Jon Arryn marched on the city, and Robert Baratheon marched with him. They could not afford a long fight. Gulltown had to fall fast. The rebels attacked the walls. They hit hard and broke into Gulltown. In the fighting, Robert found Lord Mark Grafton himself and killed him with his own hands. Once Grafton fell, Gulltown fell with him. The Vale was secure, the port was open, and Robert could finally sail south to raise the Stormlands. As Robert arrived in the Stormlands, many of his vassals gathered to his cause, but not all of them. Owen Merryweather was Hand of the King, and he had managed to keep 3 Stormland houses loyal to Aerys: House Fell, House Catherine, House Grandison. They planned to gather their forces at Summerhall, the old ruined castle of House Targaryen. From there, they would march on Storm's End. That made the situation dangerous, because if those 3 forces united, Robert could be crushed in his own lands before the rebellion ever had the chance to grow. When Robert heard that 3 of his own banners were gathering against him, he didn't wait. He gathered a fast-moving force of knights and squires and rode to meet them before they could unite. And when Robert met Lord Fell, the fighting was brutal. In the middle of the battle, Robert did the thing that made men believe in him. He led from the front, warhammer in hand. He threw himself into the fighting, and in the chaos, he cut down Lord Fell with his own hands. That moment mattered, because this was not just a lord giving orders from the rear. This was a man leading from the front, breaking the enemy himself. That was when many of his men truly began to believe in him. And before the sun had set, Robert had defeated all 3 loyalist banners. Lord Catherine was captured. Lord Grandison was captured. The men who had marched against him bent the knee and joined his cause. In a single day, Robert Baratheon had won 3 battles and crushed the Stormlords who had stayed loyal to the crown. Jon Arryn had secured the Vale. And in the north, Eddard Stark had his own road to walk. He was no longer just the younger son of Winterfell. His father was dead. His brother was dead. And now the burden of House Stark had fallen on him. So Ned called his banners, and the north answered, not for riches, not for power, but for blood. This was no longer just Robert fighting. Now the vengeance of the north had gathered too. So Ned marched south. But the rebels were still separated. Robert was in the Stormlands. Jon Arryn was in the Vale. Ned Stark was bringing the north. And if they stayed separated, the crown could crush them one by one. So Jon Arryn joined Ned Stark, and together they turned to House Tully. That made the Riverlands the key. They sat in the middle of the war. Their roads, rivers, and crossings linked the north, the Vale, the Stormlands, and the Crownlands. If the rebels wanted to join their armies, they had to pass through Tully territory, and Hoster Tully controlled the heart of it. He knew war was coming, whether he wanted it or not. He could stand alone while armies marched across his lands, fed themselves from his fields, and harassed his small folk. Or he could join Jon Arryn and Ned Stark, gain powerful allies, protect his people, and take revenge on the crown that had murdered Brandon Stark, the man once promised to Catelyn Tully. So Hoster Tully joined the rebels, and to bind the alliance in blood, he demanded marriage. Jon Arryn would marry Lysa Tully, and Ned Stark would marry Catelyn Tully in place of his dead brother. Now the rebels were no longer scattered. Now they were becoming a force that could finally challenge the crown. But the crown was not just sitting back and watching this happen. King Aerys sent ravens across the realm, calling his loyal houses to war. House Tyrell answered. Dorne remained tied to the crown through Elia Martell, and more loyalist banners began to rise. Aerys understood the danger. If Robert Baratheon reached Ned Stark, Jon Arryn, and the Riverlands, the rebellion would become much harder to crush. So the crown moved to stop him first. Mace Tyrell raised a massive army beneath the banners of the Reach, but an army that large could not move fast enough to catch Robert, so the faster force was sent ahead. Randyll Tarly led the vanguard, cold, disciplined, fast. Robert had pushed too far west, too fast, and near Ashford, Tarly caught him before he could break north and join the rest of the rebellion. Tarly smashed directly into Robert's vanguard before the rebels could fully form for battle. The Stormlords at the front were hit hard. Horses crashed into each other. Men were cut down before their ranks could tighten, and the rebel advance began collapsing into confusion. But then Robert came forward himself, warhammer in hand, leading the main rebel force straight into the fight. And suddenly, the battle turned savage. Robert's charge slammed into the Loyalist line with terrifying force. Men died shoulder to shoulder as Robert tried to break through before the rebels were overwhelmed. But Tarly's men held. Lord Caffron, once loyal to the crown, now fighting for Robert, was cut down by Randyll Tarly himself, and took his head for King Aerys. Robert's attack lost momentum. Then, somewhere in the chaos, Robert was wounded. His men pulled him from the fighting and retreated north, while others stayed behind to hold the line. Ashford was lost. Robert's army was broken, and for the first time in the war, Robert Baratheon was not marching toward victory. He was being carried away from defeat. After Ashford, Robert's army hadn't been destroyed, but it had been shaken badly. Some men scattered, some banners pushed north, and the men closest to Robert stayed with him, trying to keep their wounded lord alive.